what happened in London was just tragic. It's barbaric what happened in London the other day. A white extremist went and ran over, you know, mosque goers who were coming out of Ramadan services, and they were ran over. This is this is just unbelievable. Then you have, you know, ISIS supporters who are running other people over. Then you have right wing extremists. All of this ties into religious violence. Organized religion is definitely the cause of a lot of violence we're seeing today. And it's all right wing extremism. ISIS is a right wing extremist organization. So is the KKK, you know, and other, you know, small organizations. Most right wing organizations, more notably, KKK, is actually one of the worst terrorist organizations in American history. They're no longer as bad as they used to be, but they're still pretty bad. They are more subversive in their actions, though. But the worst terrorist attack in American history prior to 9/11 was done by Timothy McVeigh, who was a right-wing extremist. And the Pulse nightclub shooter was not even affiliated with ISIS. He was a right-wing extremist too. He was anti-LGBT, ultra-conservative right-wing, but not necessarily religious, actually. Issue is it's with right-wing extremism. And then you had the Antoinette Bissonnette in Quebec who went in a shooting rampage in a mosque, and you had the Charleston shooting. I mean, America's overall safer. If you go back to the 70s, we had a lot of terrorist attacks. A lot. I mean, we had hundreds of terrorist attacks. We had... So, sorry for that little smirk there. I was just watching the news and some dumbass just came on the TV on Pix 11. They came up with a fake news thing. That's the problem. Right-wing extremism, right there. Just showed himself. You know what? For people who live in New York City, he's the one. Bernie Wagenblast is the one who does the subway speakers. You know, stand clear. The closing doors, please. And he also does the traffic on the radio. He's pretty cool. And here's the thing. You want to know real fake news? Real fake news. It's actually... I'm going to have to say this, but it's actually InfoWars. I mean, look. I used to follow InfoWars, but they changed radically. They went from good news to really, really bad. Well, Alex Jones has. He was really good. I used to like him a lot, too, until he went completely wacko and right-wing. No, he didn't become more libertarian. He became more supportive of right-wing extremism. Authoritarianism, even. He now supports authoritarian beliefs that years ago he would be against. Maybe Alex Jones got bought out. Maybe he's being threatened. I mean, I don't know what's going on with Alex Jones. But look, I don't support left-wing or right-wing authoritarianism. Authoritarianism is bad no matter which way you look at it. Also, using fear to control others. I'm against that. Look, when you use fear to intimidate others, whether you're on the right, the left, pro or anti-authoritarian, you're just as bad as the people you're trying to fight against. Look, the only way we're going to solve things is peacefully. Look, yes, sometimes, you have to do things to get your message across, but never hurting people. Never. When I was being severely bullied in school, I mean physically abused, what worked wasn't when I beat people up. I never did that. And wouldn't have worked. I would have gotten expelled. What worked was when I got angry and I punched my hand through the wall and put a dent in it, that wasn't fear. I was just expressing myself. And when I started screaming, I'm saying, this is, and, flexing my rights. That's what worked. When I decided to basically bang the pots and pans, that's what worked, not physical violence. Look, in my entire life, I've never beaten anybody up. Never. And I would never. Am I a pacifist? Not really. I just don't condone violence. So those Antifa is good, but you have some people who do violent things to support their cause. That's not good either. But I understand why they're doing it, but violence, no matter which way you look at it, is bad. It's just bad. And I really, really hope that people come to the senses and do things peacefully, without violence. Just coming to the table and talk. And yeah, Martin Luther King was one of my heroes, because he and Gandhi, who's another one of my heroes, realized that peaceful solutions were the way how things worked. And you know what? Well, before Martin Luther King was assassinated, he achieved so much with the civil rights movement, which is mostly nonviolent. It achieved so much and got us so far, only for the conservatives, the ultra-conservatives, to push everything back with Nixon and Reagan. Basically, war on drugs. The war on drugs was basically a backlash to the civil rights movement. That's what happened. All the rights that they were given, they decided to take them away, but subversively, like basically use drug control laws which were directed as minorities, people with disabilities. And of course, people who are white and without disabilities were not really targeted. You had a couple exceptions, but most of those people had disabilities. Like an example, an autistic teen in Illinois by the name of Paul Madrowski, serving life without parole prison sentence. He didn't kill anybody. He actually, the crime he was accused of? He was accused of lending a car to a suspected murderer. 2 days before he got convicted, the suspected murderer he was accused of lending the car to got acquitted. And he still got convicted 2 days after the acquittal of the person he was accused of lending the car to. Which basically means he got found guilty just for having autism. He got found guilty of absolutely nothing. And he didn't even confess to the crime. There was no evidence at all that he even lent his car. And very recently, they proved that the suspected murderer, they found no DNA evidence at all linking Paul Madrowski's car to this crime. Which means the car was never lent. Which means Paul will likely be acquitted very soon. He'll get a retrial and be acquitted. And that's autism discrimination. And I really hope that happens. I really hope Paul Madrowski gets acquitted. Thank you for watching. Bye. And I hope all racial violence ends. All violence just ends.